Now, for the uninitiated, Twitter is a way of texting your thoughts to the world, or at least those people who choose to follow you. Some use it to broadcast pretty much every twist and turn of their daily life. But now some MPs have got fed up with others staring at their mobile phones the whole time during debates. So they've put down a motion to ban the habit. That's due to be debated any time now. So earlier I caught up with Labour's Luciana Berger, who wants to keep on tweeting, and with Conservative James Gray, who wants her to stop. First, I asked James Gray if he wanted all electronic devices banned from the chamber.
Electronic devices should be used for things associated with the business in hand. So you can use them instead of paper, you can use them for urgent messages coming in or going out. Recently I was chairing a committee upstairs talking about pensions and benefits reform. Two-thirds of the people in the committee were staring at an electronic device of one kind or another, including both ministers, both whips. One person had two electronic devices simultaneously. That just means they're not concentrating on the debate in question. And from outside, it looks terrible looking at all these people in the chamber sitting there fiddling around with electronic devices. Let's use them for a minimal amount of time, maybe the odd tweet here or there, maybe use them instead of paper, but let's not let the entire chamber be full of individuals staring at screens and fiddling with buttons.
Well, Luciana, he's got a point there. It is very distracting if everybody is staring at their screen, and surely they cannot be concentrating on the debate that's going on.
The main motion that we're discussing today specifically says that we should only use any sort of handheld device with decorum, and obviously that's the main point. I'm concerned about the amendment being proposed by various members, which specifically says you could only send and receive urgent messages. And my understanding of the explanatory notes that accompanied that would prevent MPs from tweeting, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in the debate.
Now, what does it mean with decorum? I mean, the problem is you can't monitor it, can you? People could still sit there and tweet to their heart's content, or use any electronic device for that matter, and it won't be, in their view, with decorum.
And likewise, who's going to determine what is or isn't an urgent message to send and receive? And that's why I think it's really important that, you know, as MPs, we take responsibility for what we do or don't do in the chamber. I accept that, you know, me and my colleagues will do that, and therefore the debate today is about what the certain limits should or shouldn't be.
Well, there you go, James Gray. There's a bit of self-regulation there.
It can't be policed, you're absolutely right. I'm not asking for anyone to look over your shoulder and say, what's the message you're doing there? All I'm saying is that if the chairman knows that you should only be using these devices for something that you're discussing at the time in the chamber, and if he sees someone who's quite plainly taking no part in the debate whatsoever and fiddling around with the device and quite plainly emptying their inbox and deleting all those dreadful emails that we get, then the chairman can intervene and say, well, actually, the rule of the House is you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be using it for a minimal amount of time, not as much as you are. If we don't get my amendment through today, we will find that Chamber of the House of Commons and the committees will be full of people, absolutely full, and two-thirds of the people will be sitting there doing things with their devices, and that will just look terrible from the point of view of people outside looking in. We get the complaint at the moment that no one's in the chamber. Look to the future and the complaint will be, all right, they're in the chamber, but they're not paying a blind bit of attention to the fine debate that's occurring at the time. I'd like to see minimal use of them just for the purpose of the debate in hand, and not for other purposes.
Well, though, Luciana, as you've said, it is part now of the world of politics. I mean, why do you think tweeting's taken off in the way it has?
Well, I think, you know, we live in the 21st century, and tweeting is just one way of better engaging and communicating with our constituents, who ultimately we are accountable to and who we represent. And the positive responses that I've got, you know, I've asked the question on Twitter, do you think that we should continue to tweet within the chamber? And the flood of responses I've got in support. And one particular thing that I hadn't even thought of, to the deaf community, tweeting is actually a way in which they can engage in political discussion that they don't get the opportunity to do so otherwise.
And Luciana, apart from the daily politics, whom I know you must follow all the time, who do you follow most of all?
I follow lots of people. First and foremost, it's organisations and people in and around my constituency.
And you, James Gray?
Not a great Twitterer. I do put press releases out on my Twitter, and I've got a Facebook account as well. I'm just never sure who's looking and who's actually listening to what one says on Twitter. But I'm no kind of dinosaur. I might look it, but I'm not actually a real dinosaur. I actually think there's plenty of room for Twitter and for all these other things. The question is simply how much of that should be done during a technical debate in the House of Commons. And I think it's technical. We should be listening carefully to the detailed arguments being advanced. We should be coming up with alternative views. We should be seeking to persuade the other people in the chamber. We shouldn't be fiddling around with our electronic devices.
James Gray, Luciana Berger, thank you.